Hey everyone, Danielle here. I'm doing a solo overview of Everstone, Discovering Ignis. I have this all set up and ready to go. This is going to be simply an overview of all the different actions that you can do as a player in this game. And the main goal, in case you're not familiar, is to be able to get you to at least 10 reputation points. In a solo game, you're versing off of a specific board. This one is Grizel. And this is basically going to be your timer to race against to meet the 10 reputation points. All right. So as you can see, I am going to be the orange player. I have my orange pawn and I have my influence tokens as well. During setup, you would have placed your influence token on any of the locations. You don't gain anything at that point, but you do just place it there. You place 3 of your influence tokens at the bottom of each of the influence tracks. You place 1 of your tokens at the bottom of the reputation track. The rest will go into your little reserve here. And when you place reputation tokens, just remember you have to take it from left to right at the top, and then you loop down here. And that's important because it opens up locations so that you can place additional resources. We have a total of 8 resource slots to put into your reserve. So you have a starting resources. In the setup, you were given 3 relics. Between those 3 relics, you chose 1 to put underneath your board to use as a relic action. You chose 1 to be placed in your workshop to potentially be replaced or discarded. And then you discarded 1 into the discard section of the market. During setup, you also shuffled up the market deck, placed out 4 underneath each of these respective costs. This is 2 resources, 1, 1, and free. You would have also placed out 4 locations here and 2 locations in the, what do they call it? Outer limits. During setup for a solo game, you're also putting these neutral colored influence tokens on the blank spots in this formation. You would have also rolled 3 dice to see where the influence tokens of Grizel's would be placed. So they would start down here, depending on the die that's rolled. It would go up that many spaces. If it happened to land on a space that already had an influence token, you would put it ahead of it. So you would go in front of it. And that's how you would place yours as well. You also start with 2 of your goals. So one of them is considered a starting quest. So this one says, have at least 1 relic below each action or have 4 relics below any action. So right now I do have 1 relic below an action. And then I have this other goal here, or a quest, discard 2 of the same type of relic in the same turn. So I have to pay attention to that. Global achievements are important. That will help you gain a movement on the reputation track if you meet them. But yeah, pay attention to each of these while you play your games to make sure that you're not missing out on meeting these global achievements. All right, so I think we'll get started to talk about some of the actions. So there's 4 main actions. Your pawn will start on barter, which means on your first turn, you will not be able to choose barter as an action. In this video, I'll go through each of these actions and hopefully it'll give you an idea of whether or not this game is for you, because a lot of the game is taking these actions. All right, so let's move this pawn over to our first action that we're going to talk about. So exploring is basically you going to one of these locations. So you're going to grab your caravan token and pick a location to visit. I'm actually going to choose the one I put my influence token on. So I'll place 1 here. And then what's neat is that anyone who had an influence token on here, currently just me, I'd be able to gain that location bonus, which is a blue resource. So I'll put that into my reserve. If there was a caravan already here, I would have to pay from my own resources the location bonus to that player. So if that happened, I would have to do that. And that person who was already there puts their caravan back into the Ignis space. All right. So now we get to explore this location. This one says we gain 1 of each of those resources. I only have 2 slots open, so I think I'm just going to gain a blue and a red, since I already have so many yellow. Now you have to replace the location with a new one. So hold on to this, and you're going to look at the outer limits, move the top location to that spot, move this one up, and then you're going to put this here. So as you can see, the locations will change over time. And I like that because it doesn't really matter where you put your influence, because sometimes that might actually change where you would have wanted your influence. So after that, you would see if you could do the workshop action. So the workshop action is directly underneath. Think of these actions as columns, right? So right now we're in the second column doing the explore action. We did the main action, which was explore. Now we can go into the workshop action, but as you can see, I actually put a card there during setup. I could have put it anywhere else, but I did decide to put it here. If it was uncovered, I would be able to do this action, which allows me to spend a yellow resource to place an influence token in my current location. So if this was uncovered, I'd be able to spend one of my yellows and place one of my influence over here. So current location is basically where my caravan is. So that would be the example of using that action. In this case, we would not be able to because I had a relic covering it. And that is really your incentive to either repair or do something with this relic if it's sitting in your workshop, because it's going to make you unable to use the workshop action. And now lastly, if I happen to have any relic actions like I do in the harvest column, I would be able to complete that if I wanted to. But as you can see, nothing is underneath this explore column in the relic action spot. So I basically end my turn there. So talking about the next action we could do is harvest. Let's move our pawn over to harvest. When you harvest, you roll 3 dice. We have a 1, 1, 5. And after that, you get to decide which route to take. It's important to look at the top card of the market deck. Right now, this is a 2, which is right here, 2, 3, and even. I look at my dice. Is it anywhere close to this combination? If it is, and I can manipulate the dice, possibly using resources such as yellow to increase by 1, red to flip over the die, blue to decrease the value by 1. If I'm able to do that and meet this combination of 2, 3, and an even number, I'd be able to take the route of matching a discovery combination and deciding what to do with this relic card. I don't get to reveal it until the match is made with the combination. But in this case, I will show you the first option that's listed to the left of this bar, which is to choose 2 values of a dice. In that case, you choose any 2 and you'll add them up, and with that sum, it will tell you which of these influence tracks you'll be able to move up by 1 on. So if I happen to choose 1 and 5, the sum is 6. So looking at these ranges, the blue is a sum of 2 to 5, yellow is 6 to 8, red is 9 to 12. My sum is 6, which meets this one. In that case, I'd be able to move up by 1, but because there's an influence token here, I go here and I could gain any resource. I'm not sure I need a resource because I already have them here. So I want to see what else I can do. Because it looks like everywhere else would give me a resource. But okay, for example's sake, I probably would not do a harvest action at this time, but I'm showing you the actions. I'll say it is a 6. I move up my token by 1. Again, there's 1 already here, so I go up here. I would gain a resource of any color. With the remaining die that I did not use, which is a value of 1, I get to gain that many resources of the track I went up. So I would gain 1 yellow resource. Obviously, I can't fit it in my reserve, but if I did, I could gain that yellow resource. Something to note, and it's already on this board as a reminder, that if you did roll the dice and all 3 were the same values, you could re-roll it. That's the only time you would be able to really re-roll it. So just to go over the other side of things, if you did match the discovery combination, you would reveal the card. And then you would have to decide what you want to do with it. You could decide to sell the relic, which is gaining the reward of the relic, like here. That's the reward. In that case, you still have to pay the cost of the reward. So if there was a cost, you would pay it, and then you'd put it in the discard pile. So that's what selling the relic would do. You could decide to keep the relic, which means you could tuck the relic under any of your workshops locations. So you could tuck it maybe under here, just like this. And now I have 3 more reserves. Or I could tuck it under any of the other columns that I would like. But it's ideal if you want to strategize. You could potentially take advantage of these relic actions if that's your current pawn location. Just an FYI, you can only have up to 6 relic actions under each of these action columns. So you do want to be smart about how you're spreading these out, and also the order might matter to you. So you would always go from top to bottom when fulfilling these actions. So in this case, I think I'll go ahead and I'll sell it, and I will gain a influence up here. So I'll gain that bonus, and that bonus says draw a relic into your workshop. So I'll go ahead and draw it, and I'll put it here. And next I get to place 2 influence tokens, and it says place anywhere on the board. So I'll place 2, and I'll place 1 here and here. All right. So now that I've decided to sell it, it goes into the discard pile. And now I get to go down the column. I could do the relic action, placing an influence token and gaining 2 resources, but I don't really think I need resources. I do want to focus in on these little dots here. You can only place 4 influence tokens to gain that resource. So I'm choosing not to. I think it'll be more valuable in a future turn. So I'm not going to waste putting an influence token there right now. But you do have a caveat of if you did place an influence token just for the sake of placing it, you'd gain an open slot to add a resource to your reserve. All right. The third action I'll go over is repair. So as you can see, I have 2 relics in my workshop. I could decide to sell it or keep it. Kind of the same decision to make that you had to do during the match discovery combination track. So if I were to sell it, I have to pay 2 and gain a reputation. I think for this one, I will. So I'll pay 2 blue, and then it will be sold, and I move up the track by 1. And then here, I get to decide if I want to sell or keep. And you could do as many relics as you'd like. So I'm going to choose to instead keep. So, totally forgot. To be able to even sell it, I have to pay these resources. And I actually don't have a red that I need. So I actually have to backtrack, go back down that reputation track. I want to make sure I get this right. So in that case, I actually have to be able to afford to pay for it. I think I'll just be able to afford this relic. So let's do that. I'll pay the 1 blue, 2 yellow, and then 1 red. And then down here it says I have to pay an influence token. So I got to place that where I am. Okay. So now I get to decide if I want to sell or keep it. And in this case, I think I will sell it. So I get to go up the track of any influence track. And in that case, I'll go up this one and gain that yellow resource. And now I get to gain 3 blue resources. 1, 2, 3. That goes into the discard. So that's how you repair. Now I could do the action here, my workshop action, because it's not covered by a relic card. I could pay a blue, and I could decide to move something in my board to any other spot. So if I wanted to, I'll spend a blue. And now, I could relocate one of my tucked relics vertically or horizontally. So I think I'll move it here. Okay. So now I can do this action. So I'll place an influence and gain 2 resources. I'll choose to gain 2 more blues. All right. And that is the repair action. Something to note is I could also have moved one of these as well. But I'll leave it. Actually, I'll leave it here, just for the sake of putting it there. So the final action is barter. So it says here on the board, move to Ignis. So I'll go ahead and move to Ignis to buy a relic and gain a reward. So looking at the market, I do have plenty of resources. I'll pay 2 blues, and I'll buy this relic. And now I'll place it here. Place it in my workshop. If there were any gaps in the market, you would move everything to the right. In this case, I bought it from this slot, so I just flip it over and fill that market spot. Then, looking here at the Ignis area, it says buy a relic. Or, buy a relic, which I just did, and claim an Ignis reward. That means or. I get to choose one of these. So I could choose to spend a resource and go up a specific influence track of that color that I choose, or spend one and discard. So I don't know if I want to really do that, but I'll show you how it works. So first, let's discard this red, and that means I'll get to go up a red track, and I get to place the bonus here, the influence token, on where I am. My location of the caravan is here. I have to pick from one of these tracks to place my influence token, and then I'll gain something there. So I'll gain a red influence, resource. So you would only choose one. And then you would go down the track of barter. It says gain the other Ignis reward. So that's this one, which allows me to gain any resource that I would like, or do a discard action. So I think I will gain a red. If I wanted to do a discard action, I'd be able to look at the cards in my workshop. And you'll see down here, there's a blue action, discard, and this would go up the red track on the influence track. And this one would say discard, and then you get to place an influence token at my location, which would be down here, and I choose one of these. So that is the last action you could do on your turn. So before I end this video, I do want to talk about how the solo opponent would play. So again, this is their board. You would place out an influence token for each of these 5 rows. If you want to play in easier mode, you'd put one up here. But for now, I'll show you that it's just going to be the normal mode. So when they take their turn, they move the topmost influence token that's still on the left to the right, and they do that action. So it says here, take the top influence token and cover the leftmost uncovered global achievement. If this is the 4th token Grizzle has placed onto the board, the game ends. So that's when the track resets. You would follow these steps when all of these have been moved to the right, and then you have to reset the track. So just make sure you don't miss out on this section. The other opponents of the solo mode might have different text here, so you definitely want to read it and try to make sure you understand that. All right. So looking at these specific actions, There are a few that are already in the rulebook, though you have the option to just pause and read. But basically, the first action on here, you would roll a die, and then you move the caravan token clockwise around the explore locations equal to the dice roll. So say I roll a die, it's a 3. So the caravan will always start on the printed location, which is here. This is a printed location because it's not attached to a removable one. It'll start here, and I have to move 3. 1, 2, 3. So that means it's going to stay there until it moves again. So if that caravan happens to land in my space, I get to gain the location bonus, and then I move my caravan back to the Ignis, which is always the case even in the multiplayer. If there was another caravan there, they move back to the Ignis after they gained the bonus from you. The next thing here says discard the free market card. The free market card is here. They get discarded. You move everything to the right. You refill. Okay? And then the third type of action is this one. So you move each opponent's influence token up 1 space on all 3 influence tracks. And if any of the tokens cannot perform a legal movement, it doesn't actually move. So you're going to go ahead and just move these up by 1. All right. Well, I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions about how to play, definitely let me know. Leave a comment below. Also, would love to hear your thoughts on this game. I do plan on doing a solo playthrough at some point, so please look out for that. Feel free to subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when I post any new videos. All right, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.